Jesus is the answer for the world today.
Hello, family. Pastor Lalo here. And a few years back at CBC, we did a vacation Bible school VBS. And in that VBS, there was something I remember very specifically. And the children were instructed to go home that day. And VBS lasted a week. And from that day forward, to look for the God moments. The moments where we see that God, beyond the shadow of a doubt, was very present there. And some woke up, came back, and talked about the fact that the sun had risen. Some that, well, there was something happened, things like that, right? Or somebody was very nice to them, or they felt like, basically, like, they looked for it. And that's true. But, I started thinking about that, and that's resonated with me since that time. And I'm sure I've shared with you all before, but there is a quote by C.S. Lewis that comes to mind and resonates with me very much so. And it goes something along the lines, I believe in Christianity like I believe the sun has risen. Not because I see it, but because by it I see everything. When we talk about God moments, the thing is, when we look through the lens of Christ, when we look through the eyes of the gospel, and when that is our foundation, we will see God in every single moment. The truth of the matter is, God is in the details. And, when I think about John 3:16, the infamous verse, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. The journey to giving his only begotten Son didn't just start in Bethlehem. It didn't just start, at a random moment in time. All the way in the garden, we knew it was coming. He'd already prophesied that this was what would happen. That he will redeem and restore the relationship. From there, we journey and we see him calling people out and orchestrating and working things out for that purpose. From Joseph to the Exodus, to the law, to the kings, to the exile. We see him orchestrating. At no point in time can we say that it was by chance. Because in the eyes of sovereignty and sovereign will and sovereign plan, there is no such thing as chance or fate. And when I begin to think about that, and I think about my life, and I pray that you think about your life too, in those moments where if I had just turned left, I wouldn't be standing here today. Or if I just made that decision, I wouldn't be standing here today instead of this one. God was in the very detail. The fact, I am just I marvel sometimes that God called 12 disciples. One betrayed him, but he still restored 12 disciples. That the apostles, in their own thinking, they cast lots and nominated one, but the 12th was Paul, born out of time, as he said. God calls us, and I've heard this statement before, that those who he calls, he qualifies. The very gospel of Jesus Christ, the very good news that has restored us back to God, that has redeemed us, that is not by chance. The fact that you're saved is not by chance. The fact that I'm saved is not by chance. The question is, since it's not by chance, Father, what would you have me do? right? We ask that question, what is your will for me? God's will for us, there is a one that we all know, to go preach the gospel, to live as a light in darkness, to seek justice, to love mercy, to walk humbly with our God, to love God and to love people. Those very things get distilled and boiled down to the very details of our lives. When I decide to respond a certain way to a person, is God glorified? When I withhold my blessing in the sense of just God bless you, is God glorified? Am I being a light to the world? When I know I should speak, but I withhold it, is God glorified? Am I obeying his will? But in that very moment, God is still right there in that detail. You know, if we really think about it, right? God being God, almighty, all-knowing, all-powerful God. The fact that he knows each and every single one of us, the fact that he's all-knowing, the fact that he cares and still orchestrates and leads, is proof in itself that he is in the every detail. That there is nothing that's inconsequential to him. So I know at times we walk around and say, God understands. But if he's in every detail and he's all knowing, then does he? If my heart and my desire is to please him, then every detail of my life matters. The idea, as the gospel says, to walk circumspect, to walk with caution, to make my decisions with caution, because the Almighty God has called me his own, and he cares about my every detail. I know the thing is, these days we take that and we say, well, God cares about my every detail, so he cares for me. And the thing is, honestly speaking, when we do that, we turn ourselves into the center of attention. We place all the attention on ourselves. We say, God cares about me. He cares about me, me. As opposed to, God cares about me? Or God cares about me? God. All glory and all attention belongs to him. So when I walk circumspect, when I make a decision in my life, it is because all glory and all attention is to him. And I pray, I really pray that as I walk this life, I walk it solely because he leads. That I walk circumspect. And my prayer is that you walk circumspect too. Jesus said, if I be lifted up, I will draw all men unto me. I know we can place this in the context of him dying on the cross and being lifted up. But we could also place it in the context of him being glorified in our every detail. So my prayer is that let God be in every detail, because he is. We just have to remember it. God bless you and have a blessed day.